Okay, good morning and welcome to the Select Board meeting of March 20th. Please note that in accordance with the emergency orders announced by Governor Charlie Baker to protect public health during the COVID-19 outbreak, the March 20th Select Board meeting will not be open to the public for physical attendance, and the Select Board members are calling in via telephone. The meeting is being live streamed and cable broadcast by the Easton Community Access Television, Comcast 98, and Verizon 23, and on ECAT's website, www.eastoncat.org. If there is public participation requested or people have questions or comments about this meeting, please send your questions via email to mblanchard, BLANCHARD, at easton.ma.us. Questions should include your name and address, and the response will be incorporated into the meeting minutes and the public record. The first item that we have on the agenda today is, before we do that, I'm sorry, I'd like to just ask everyone to announce themselves for the record.
Craig Barger. Tom Broussard.
Chuck King.
Marc Lamb.
And this is Dotti Fulginiti, and Connor Reed is in the select board room, and we have Lisa Florio taking our minutes, Danielle Sykart, the town clerk, and Jay Talerman, town counsel. So the first item on the agenda is a discussion and vote for authorization for town council to pursue the court order to postpone the March 31st special state election in Easton and Taunton, either jointly with the city of Taunton or solely on behalf of the town of Easton. Connor, if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So as the board and the public may be aware, there is a lot of legislation, emergency legislation, kicking around on the state level to address the significant public health concerns with conducting elections during the COVID-19 pandemic. The initial legislation that was filed and is being discussed is focusing more on April town elections and May town meetings, but did not explicitly contemplate the handful of March 31st special state elections that are occurring. I think there are 4 happening in the state, and Easton has one of them. The board had previously voted to have that special election, which is shared between Precinct 6 in Easton and the city of Taunton, to fill former Representative O'Connell's now vacant seat. That election was going to take place in the Corona room at the town offices, and doing so would not be consistent with the existing orders from health authorities, the governor, and the CDC for social distancing and elimination of gatherings. And so the town, through Danielle and Jay, have been communicating with the city of Taunton, who this week voted to authorize their solicitor and their counsel to pursue a court order to delay the March 31st election. Because under existing law, and there are 2 people on this call at least who will correct me if I'm wrong, there is no mechanism to delay an election of this type absent a court order. This is not without precedent. There are other cities and towns seeking court orders to delay elections in the immediate term while the legislature works to address these challenges. We believe, based on State House news, that the Senate will be filing legislation as early as Monday to possibly move these March 31st elections, but because it is so close, we wanted to be proactive and have a belt and suspenders approach and have the board vote to authorize council to work with the city of Taunton to file the request with the courts as early as next week in the event that legislation is not clarified and handled, because next week is our last business week before this election. So I would ask Jay first, and then Danielle, if there's anything that I missed on that, to just kind of chime in and fill the board in. Jay?
No, I mean, that's pretty much it. The Taunton Solicitor's Office is going to do a draft I spoke to them or exchanged emails with them yesterday. So they'll take the laboring ore on that, and then we'll look at it to make sure it hits all the highlights that have been suggested for the special election postponements. They're slightly different animal than the municipal election postponements that we've been doing for other clients. So there's a few other things we have to take care of, but we'll wait and see what we get from them if we need it. I'm pleased that the Senate at least has said that there's going to be some action on Monday. We don't know what that is, and we don't know if that means that there'll be a fully enacted act on Monday. So I think we're still staying the course, but hopeful that we don't have to actually file anything on Monday, and that by this vote today, we'll be able to hold up our end of the continuance.
This is Danielle. It's all been said. We're obviously hoping for relief from the state on Monday. However, I think it's prudent for all of us to be prepared to file a court order should that be necessary.
Thanks, Dotti. That concludes what staff had prepared.
Okay, I'm going to go through our roll call order and ask everyone if they have any comments or questions, starting with Craig.
Good morning. I just have a question about if we file with Taunton on Monday because the state hasn't done anything, with the courts closed, how does that happen, Jay?
So it's interesting, and it varies county to county, and even within the counties, some of the, if there's two courts, as there are, or technically three, although one of them really isn't open in Bristol, what the clerks are telling us these days is, and there's some examples of this for some of the other municipal election postponements, is that they are taking these documents electronically, and some of the courts are acting without a hearing at all for these postponements because they're starting to see them more routinely. But if they need to hold a hearing, they're doing it telephonically.
So that if the timing is sufficient for us to have the postponement.
Correct. There's not the usual lag time that we're seeing that we see in other matters. The courts are they are not allowing any hearings on anything that's more routine in nature, but they have been viewing these as emergencies. So, and that's been the precedent so far in most of the counties that have undertaken review of actions for the postponement of municipal elections.
And my last question is, who then establishes a new date for the special election?
Don't know the answer to that because I think there's a number of factors involved in it. I think it's probably a group effort. I'm waiting to see what the draft from Taunton says in that. It's the guidance we're seeing is to leave the pleadings open-ended and to have that be set at the time of the hearing, or to give discretion to those who set those dates within the order itself. So not have the order itself state it, but then let the powers that be come up with a new date that's convenient to all the stakeholders.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, you're up. Any questions?
Yes, this is Tom. I have no additional questions.
Thank you. Chuck, any questions, comments? Chuck has probably muted us. I'll move on to Mark. Mark, any questions, comments?
This is Mark. I have no questions.
Okay. I don't
I'm here, Dodd.
Okay. Chuck, do you have any comments or questions?
Yes, I'm in precinct 6, and I believe that precinct 6 is the only one that would be applicable to the voting from Easton. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I believe that this is not a time to have an election.
Okay. Well, with that being said, Connor, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I have nothing further.
Okay, I would accept a motion to accept the authorization for town council to pursue the court order to postpone the March 31st special state election in Easton, either jointly with the city of Taunton or solely on behalf of the town of Easton. If somebody would make the motion, state your name and the moved, and the same with second.
Craig Barger, so moved. Tom Broussard, second.
And I'll ask for a roll call vote, starting with Craig, Tom, Chuck, Mark, and then myself.
Craig Barger, yes. Tom Broussard, yes.
Chuck King, yes.
Marc Lamb, yes.
Dotti Fulginiti, yes. So that's unanimous. Thank you. I'd also like to read into the record, at our last meeting, we had two items that we voted on March 16th, I believe it was. I just want to read those into the record as they were added within the 48-hour posting limit under emergency circumstances. These affirmative votes were taken on March 16th, and both of these will be restated into the record. There was a vote, a declaration by the Select Board and the Board of Health of a state emergency in Easton, and there was also a vote authorizing the direction of the town administrator to execute all essential routine executive functions on behalf of the Select Board, provided execution is in coordination with the chair, and a copy of the action taken on behalf of the board is recorded and provided to the full board within 24 hours. So with that, if there's no other comments and questions, I'll give everybody a moment. If you'd like to state anything, please speak. Okay, with that being said, I'll take a motion to adjourn, a second, and then we'll do a roll call vote the same as we have before.
Craig Barger, so moved. Tom Broussard, second.
And all
Craig
in
Barger,
favor?
yes. Tom Broussard, yes.
Chuck King, yes.
Marc Lamb, yes.
And Dotti Fulginiti, yes. So that's unanimous. Thank you, everyone, for making the time to be on this call. We appreciate it.
Hey, everybody.
Thank you.
Good.